Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking this blonde hair to this beautiful pastel peachy pink with some purple dip tips. This was the color that we did last time on Sarah. It's like a copper peachy natural. And then the time before that, you may recognize from episode 5, which is more of a vivid and warm tone compared to what we're doing today, which are more pastel and cool tone. So this way you kind of get to see a similar placement, but we are doing super different formulations, and I'll get to show you some of my favorite pastel formulas. But first, I am going to do her roots with a high lift color. So Sarah is not that dark, so I don't need to use lightener on her base. If you want to see that in full, you can go to episode 5. I didn't feel like I needed to show her entire high lift color because I've shown it before, but I'll just show a little bit in the front. I'm using Kevin Murphy, just the regular neutral level 12 high lift, and taking really thin sections and applying it to all of her natural color. And then that is going to process for 55 minutes. I also like to put a cap on them just so that I know all of that heat is staying in there and warming up that hair as much as it can, because then I know it's going to lift really evenly, because you don't want those roots to be too long. But let's get our pastel formula. So I'm going to be using Danger Jones. It is going to mostly be Simpatico, which is like a pastel peachy tone, but I also wanted to have a bit of a pop. So I'm going to add some Hotwire and I'm going to add some Lovesick. Those are the neon orange and the neon pink colors. But you can see on the scale right there exactly how much I'm using. I don't want to do a ton. Like I said, we want mostly Simpatico, and then we are going to mix it up. Now, one of my favorite hacks for my semi-permanent color formulations is this watercolor book. It's not a regular notebook. It's meant for watercolor paint. So it's really great for testing formulas out. So I really love to have this on hand, especially for clients who maybe they're not sure what tone they like. I can go into my book and they can just pick out whichever tones are speaking to them. But for this formula, I did 160 grams of Simpatico, 30 grams of Lovesick, and 30 grams of Hotwire. 20 grams of Hotwire. And then for my purple, I did 30 grams of Exotica. And then I started with 4 grams of Masquerade, but I added in an extra 3. So it was 30 grams of Exotica, which is the pastel purple, and then 7 grams of Masquerade. Now I'm adding some of my B3 Bond Builder in there. That is going to help with strength and longevity. And then this is what I like to call a dusting, where I'm literally just getting off those little split ends, and it literally just looks like dust coming off the ends of the hair, just so that I know everything is really lined up. Sarah has really, really fine hair, and so we really want it to get longer, which is why it's super important to cut those split ends off. Otherwise, the hair is just going to be like a frayed rope breaking up. So we are going to get our backwards bib on. As you know, these are my favorite. They keep everything so clean. Now, the most important part with a color like this is making sure that the hair is going down exactly as it naturally falls. You don't want to be pulling it out too far, like at a 90-degree angle or 45-degree angle. You want it to just be lying flat, because that is how you're going to be able to see exactly where those tips are, and you want it to be even all the way around. So you can see how much I really blend down and feather that color. I just keep pulling it and pulling it and pulling it down so lightly, because I really want that blended effect. Now, if I wanted to have like a harsh line, which totally can look cool, that would be different, but I want to have the purple and orange really blended together, or peach rather. But you can see I used my comb to really make sure that it's lying down as it would naturally fall. And then I'm coming in with my purple, and you'll see all the different directions that I go, because first I'll apply it regular up in, in a down motion, but then I'll go sideways, I'll feather up. You just have to kind of move it around in every direction and really make sure that it's saturating. Now you can also see that I'm moving into where my peach is. So the thing about these colors is once it is on the hair, it self-encapsulates. And so even if I'm putting the purple on top of it, the orange is going to be safe and it's just going to blend really nicely together. So again, I am just going to apply my peach and really, really lightly feather down. And I'm trying hard not to like pull it too far away because when I lay it down, I want it to be in its natural fall position. Also the little sheet that I'm using, the white one, those are those mesh sheets, not M-E-S-H, but M-E-C-H-E. These ones are from Framar. I like these because they're more sturdy than a piece of foil. But you can see I'm really trying to comb that hair down and let it sit in its natural fall. And then I come in with my purple, I'm feathering up, I'm brushing sideways, I am blending all over, and then I'm using my finger to come in and blend it more. That little finger blend is super important too. It'll really help you get that nice blend in there. But I am just going to repeat this all through the head, and I'm taking horizontal sections. I'm not really doing any kind of diagonal because I want to once again see exactly how it falls. And I kind of just follow this around. And then you can see I like to use my comb so that I know it's exactly where it's going to be, and then I come in with my purple. Also, thin sections are super important here. So you don't want to take anything that is going to be too thick for the color to kind of work through. You want it to be really nice and thin. And then you can see just how much I'm really working on blending those. Feathering up, using my fingers. And then we go to our neck section. Make sure that the top and the underneath are both really saturated. That is super important. And I am just making my way around. You can see my sections are about a 1/2 inch thick, and sometimes I'll even split that in half at the base just so that I know it's fully saturated at the root because it's so important. But we are just going to really carefully blend that purple. You could also see when I first put it on, I keep it a little away from where the orange is, and then I slowly move up into the orange peachy color. And once again, I took that really nice big section all around the head in like a halo almost, and I'm just letting the hair fall down where it lives. But you can see I spend a lot of time on not only making sure that I'm feathering that purple, but that peach, because I don't just slap it on and then grab my purple. I'm really taking my time feathering it down and making sure that I have that soft blend at the ends, because if I know that both colors have a soft blend, they're going to blend together really nice. You can see here, I'm just so lightly feathering it down. And then coming in with my purple, blending with my fingers, and letting it drop. Here, I am not doing it on the mesh sheet. I know exactly where it's going to drop, but you can see I put it back down. And then we're moving to the front, and I am just following that exact same line. But when I get to the front, I want it to go in a rounded shape. So I want it to be a little bit closer up as I go toward the front. So it's kind of like when you're doing face frame layers and they are shorter in the front. That's what I want, but I want it with her dipped tips a little bit higher up in the front. So I am going to get a fresh new sheet because I want this to fall exactly how it would naturally. And then you can kind of already see that it's going to curve up in this new section. And repeating my same pattern here, you can see that I'm following that halo line. So now I'm not just doing the back, I'm going all the way around the head at the same time. That way I know that each section is going to match. So wherever the hair is in the front, the section that's right next to it, that's the back, they are going to be the exact same length of purple. And just going through, hitting those roots, not doing anything different in the front except for just lifting that purple up a little higher. Still the same, feathering down. See how carefully I'm doing that. And then coming in with my purple, and blending. Also, I will have everyone know I ordered a stool now. So watching these videos, I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder my back hurts. I am like shrimp position 24/7 bending over. So I got a good stool. So I am no longer going to be bending over like a 90-year-old woman in my videos. So get ready for that. We've got natural light, new studio coming in a few weeks. We've got the stool now. We are moving on up in the world. But I am just dropping that section. And then you can see painting directly on top of that peach as I move up, and then lightly feathering because I want that blend. Blend, blend, blend. And letting it drop. And you can see my little gradient line. So I have that nice higher purple in the front. And then I'm following the exact same pattern over here, getting those front pieces, all those little baby hairs. And then we are feathering down and saturating, making sure everything is covered. Pull apart that section and really feather down that peach before you come in with your purple. It really will make all the difference, because if you just go in with a harsh line on that peach, it's going to be a harsh line with the purple no matter how much you think you might have blended it. Now I'm taking my other side and I just like to make sure that they're even. So I'll grab the other one and just kind of compare, make sure that I like the way they're looking, because I want both sides to be even. And then just carefully laying down those sections in the front exactly how they would with the natural hair fall. So pretty simple. Just the most important thing is feather both colors and blend, blend, blend. Make sure everything is lined up exactly how you want it, and I think you will be successful. Now, while you watch me finish these parts up, I am just going to also say I did not film her rinse out and her blow dry, but when you're rinsing a semi-permanent fashion color, especially a pastel or multiple colors, it is so important to rinse with ice cold water. That is going to keep the color in so much longer and really lock it in there. If you're washing it out with warm water, there's a good chance that you might have a little fading. And even though Danger Jones colors rinse out pretty clear and I don't really ever have issues with bleeding, you're just going to have a little bit of a higher risk of a chance of bleeding if you're using warm water. So always ice cold water. Advise them to use that at home. Their color will last so much longer. And after I rinsed her out with my ice cold water, I used the K18 leave-in mask because that is going to keep her hair nice and healthy and restore it back to virgin strength. And I also used the K18 volumizing spray, the heat bounce spray, which is the new heat protection and leave-in conditioner, as well as the Leaf and Flower 7-minute blowout and the Leaf and Flower frizz remedy spray. All amazing products. The 7-minute blowout helps speed up dry time, and then the frizz remedy spray helps reduce frizz for up to 5 washes. They all smell so good too, but those are my holy grail of products. I did have somebody say that I should make a video with all of my favorite tools and things. So I think in the next couple weeks, I'm going to make a video that tells all of my favorite products and all of my favorite tools and why I love them. So you will get to see all of those blowout products, but I pretty much use almost the same products on every single person because they all work so great on everyone and everybody needs repair. But you can see that tiny little bit. I'm just doing a little bit of purple there. Did not need that much. And we are just going to our last couple sections here. And also, when I did her afters, I completely did not get video in the sideways format for YouTube. So there are the opposite way, the real way. I kind of zoomed it in a little, but we still got some good after photos and videos. Just I filmed them in the wrong format. So good job, me. But I am just taking down these final sections here, letting them lie exactly where they need to lie. Doing my little bits of purple. And we are done. This just has to process for like 30 minutes. And here is our after. So gorgeous. We added a little bit of tinsel, but see how beautiful and pastel it is? This is outside in the natural light. And this one is indoors against my white backdrop. Isn't that crazy how much the color changes from indoors to outdoors? Oh, so gorgeous though. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for another week, friends. I will see you next Monday for more tutorials. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye.